Hello friends, in this video we are going to cover what is the difference between JSON and YAML. Which one should I use in my project? That is the main question which developers and testers ask. We'll cover all these things: the simplicity of the JSON, the minimal look of YAML, what are the comments in JSON and YAML, whether they are supported or not, JSON path, multi-line feature in JSON and YAML, what exactly are they, and when I convert a YAML to JSON, how does it look? Is YAML and JSON only used for transport data? We'll cover that. What do we mean by serialize and deserialize? What all libraries are available in Java, Python, Node.js, TypeScript to support JSON and YAML? What are nested objects? What is array and a list? What all IDEs support JSON and YAML? Language support, which we just covered earlier. Data type support in JSON and YAML. What do you mean by data types? What exactly are they? And single object JSON and multi-object JSON. What can go right in a JSON and YAML document? What are the IDE features? We'll cover VS Code, PyCharm, IntelliJ, parsing. So what do you mean by parsing a JSON or YAML file? Are spaces supported in JSON and YAML, and which is more stricter? We are going to cover that. And in the end, you have to go and comment in this video in the comment section how to represent these values, 18 versus 18 plus, like that. And how do you navigate a Swagger documentation, which is a huge document representing your API doc. We'll cover that. And finally, you'll have a quiz for you to answer. Just click the link and answer. Let's jump into action. The first question is, which one should I use in my project, JSON or YAML? The answer is both. There is no hard and fast rule. You have to use JSON or YAML. There are situations you can use only JSON, depends on how your project is set up, or you can use only YAML, how it is set up. And in most cases, we use both. I'm going to show you that. So why JSON is used? JSON is used for simplicity. Let's see in action. We'll cover the IDE features later. So this is a JSON document. So the readability of the JSON is very simple because it has a bracket here, you see here, and it has a bracket here which starts and ends the document. Start here and end here. Similarly, each section has an opening and closing bracket, and if you are using an array or list, so the readability is very easy in JSON. That's simplicity. And YAML is famous for minimal look. Let's look at the YAML document. Here is a same JSON file, and the YAML equivalent is this. You see, minimal look is very compact. Why? Because you can clearly see there is no opening bracket or closing bracket here. See, there is nothing here. But by its structure, you can clearly distinguish that this is a section, this is another section. In that section, you have two more sections here. Okay, so by intuition, you can make it out. So they have removed these extra curly brackets and the square brackets. so it makes it compact. Okay, that's the only difference. Comments, do they both support comments? The answer is yes. Let's say we want to comment any line here, example. See, just put a hash, it comments. For example, you want to comment this guy, it's commented. Okay. Similarly, in JSON, comments are supported. See, supported. But don't worry about this line. So this is a parser issue. This is not a JSON comment issue. It says standard does not allow comments, but that is just a warning message. That doesn't mean it doesn't support. If you watch my earlier video, I have shown JSON perfectly supports comments and you can easily parse without any issues. So to comment this, just put a double quote. So the only difference here is you put a hash here to comment because the double quote doesn't work here. Yeah? And in JSON, you comment by a double quote. So the answer is yes. JSON path, there is a full video to watch. You can go to the channel and watch the JSON path video because we can't cover in the JSON and YAML different section. So just go and watch. It's a very powerful feature JSON provides. Okay, watch the earlier video. Multi-line. JSON does not support multi-line, but ML supports. Okay, let's see how. In JSON, you see every key value here is a single line. Okay, and there is a section. In that section, every key and value single line. YAML is also like this, but YAML has a specialty. If you want to capture multi-lines, for example, your address or a shell script or a program, you can capture that as a multi-line here. Let me show you how it looks. Look at this. A single key here, but you can simply copy paste multi-line here as a JSON. Example, let's say you want to do something like you want to write some shell script echo hello world one. Now in the next line you want to go write something print hover, and next line you want to write if 5 is greater than val do something. So this one is multi-line because you are writing multiple lines against a single key here. But in JSON, so the left side is JSON, right side is YAML. In JSON, that's not supported. You see, all the things JSON wraps it in a single key here. Okay, we are going to see that. So multi-line here. See, this left side is YAML, multiple line against a single key. Here, single key, but it starts with a double quote and ends with a double quote here. So multiple lines are not supported. So what JSON does, it escapes the characters and makes it single line. So that's the difference. Okay. JSON and YAML, is it used only to transfer data? The answer is no, not exactly only to transfer data. They can also hold your configuration values. So basically you can use anywhere. You can use to represent a record, a database record, or some kind of object you can serialize, deserialize, or simply you can hold your configurations. For example, your server configurations, your environment configurations, your host configurations, so on and so forth. So what is serialize and deserialize? Okay, serialize is you have an object and you want to convert it to JSON or YAML. That is called serialize. And what is deserialize? You have a JSON and you want to convert it back to object. That's it, deserialize. So languages like Java, Python, Node.js, TypeScript, so on and so forth, Golang, every one has support for serialize and deserialize of JSON and YAML. Only difference is they provide different libraries. Nested objects. If you want to put multiple similar objects in a section, you can put them as an array or a list, as we have seen here. See here, phone numbers. So there is multiple section repeating here. Okay, so every section has a phone number type, exact phone number, and the priority. Phone number type, exact phone number, and the priority. And if you look at in the employee, see JSON file here, there is a section here, there is a section here, because it's clearly readable. That's what we covered in earlier slides. Okay, ID support. All IDs, almost all IDs, they support JSON and YAML. So let's have a look at VS Code here. So VS Code, I have created a YAML file. Now let's say you unformat it, put it somewhere, and let's say put it like this, and you want to format it, you can use Alt Shift F, so it formats automatically. Okay, so that means the basic features of managing YAML file or JSON file, it's supported by VS Code. So this is VS Code I'm showing you. Let's say you unformat it a little bit, and again I'll format it. See, it's back to pretty structure. So basic look and feel, you see the colors are different here, and the opening bracket to closing bracket is exactly aligning. So all these basic features are supported on most all the IDs. Similar, this is IntelliJ. So it has also similar support, only the color code is different here. And because IntelliJ is a professional IDE, you have free version as well as the paid version. It has got a lot more features when it comes to managing YAML and JSON files. Like you see, you can squeeze here, squeeze here. You can also do that here. Okay, but now I want to squeeze through everything, so it gives a preview look here. See, and you want to open section by section. So all these pretty features are not available in all the IDs, but every ID has their own advantages and disadvantages. According to my experience, the JetBrains product like IntelliJ, PyCharm, Golang, WebStorm, all these having very professional features when it comes to YAML and JSON. But you may not need all the time all the professional features, but basic formatting and managing are supported in VS Code as well, you see here. And VS Code also gives you a lot of plugins to manage. So if you need extra feature, you can just simply download a plugin for JSON and YAML and start using it. Language support, we have seen JavaScript, Java, Python, Golang, everybody supports JSON and YAML. Data type, this is interesting. The JSON and YAML, so the only data type is string, boolean, number and null, and a object. That's the only data type. So we watched the earlier video, it explicitly covers the data type. Okay. So basically there are 5 data types: string, boolean, number, null, and object. And the rest all these things are derived data type, like date. Date is nothing but you put the string in a certain format, it becomes date. Array is a list of objects or list of primitive types. That's array. So there's nothing different in data type. So these are not really data types. These are all just collections. Now comes to a single document, single object and multiple objects in a JSON file. So why I have covered this? Because you have always seen that JSON document starts with a flower bracket, which is a curly bracket, and ends with a curly bracket. But that's not always the case. If you have multiple employees, you can start here with a flower bracket as well. Look at this. Okay, so this is perfectly valid JSON document. So a JSON document or a JSON file, it can hold as it is a list of objects, which is collections, as well as simply a single object representation. Inside the single object you have multiple lists. That's not what we are talking about. We are talking about the start of the document, which is the document type. Here the document type is a list. Here the document type is object. Same thing applies to YAML file as well. Okay. What can go wrong in a JSON or YAML file? This is something I'll leave you to comment in the comment section. I have also covered things can go wrong in JSON in earlier videos, but I leave it to you to comment where can things go wrong. For example, now this false. If you write is false, this is wrong. You see, this is not supported. But I'm just giving you kind of clue, but you make sure you do a little bit of research or watch the earlier video and go and answer that. If you write here false, okay, but what is the difference here? Why it is accepting here and not accepting there? Okay, now so this is something I'll leave it to you to answer. See, this is going wrong here. It's saying value expected. Okay, so VS Code is prompting properly, where the IntelliJ is not giving a error just for the value. But again, this is a matter of how the data is represented. Both are correct here. This is also correct. Okay, but why VS Code is complaining and IntelliJ is not complaining? Do you think VS Code is wrong, or VS Code is correctly complaining and IntelliJ is wrong and it's not highlighting? No, both are correct in their own place, but I'll leave it you to do a little bit of research and comment in the comment section. Okay. IDE features. So it gives auto completion, and also it detects or it prompts you to what kind of value it should hold, like the error using, and it also gives you smart completion when if you use the latest versions of JetBrains product or latest plugins of VS Code. All these features you get out of the box in the IDs. Parsing, you have all the languages, they have their own libraries to parse. Spaces. Okay, as we have seen here, if you put a space or here you put a space, there is no issues in JSON document. Here there is no issues here. because the JSON is little bit of lenient when it comes to handling spaces, because it has other way to differentiate a object or a value, because it's in double quote here, double quote here. So these spaces, see these spaces here, these spaces here, this space, these spaces are ignored. They are not really the value or the data. But in YAML, it is different. You can't put spaces on your own, on your wish. Let's say if I put into the space, you see everything goes wrong here, because the indentation or the space is used to identify the sections or the list or the object here. So you have to be very careful in YAML document. That is why when the data is sensitive, or you are new to YAML, or you are just starting converting your data to this YAML JSON format representations, the better is to use JSON to start with, or until you get confidence and familiarity, do not use YAML document. If already a project has YAML, so just make sure you understand the spacing requirements, how the objects and lists are represented, then start using it. I don't say don't use it. Start using it only after learning how the YAML holds the data. So the spaces here are very important. You can't simply give spaces. Things will go wrong. But this space is allowed, you see. There is no issues here, because the key and the value are still strictly maintained here. So this priority is 2 here, and this space are ignored. Okay, so that's what I wanted to cover. So this is what it says: between key and value it is ignored, between lines it is ignored. YAML rules are very stricter here. Okay, now finally I leave you with this. So how do you represent 18 and 18 plus in JSON and YAML? Just answer in 2 lines. Lowercase true and capital case true. How do you represent, or how do you hold this? How do you maintain this data in JSON as well as in YAML? How do you put null, null and none? So what is the difference between lowercase null, camel case null, which is capital N, and none? And how do you represent that both in JSON and YAML? Please leave a comment. And finally, we'll do a Swagger navigation. So what is Swagger? Swagger, in the older world, it used to called API documentation. In the new world, it is called OpenAPI.